I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm your host Daniel, and you guys, tonight we've got a really cool guest. Now, this gentleman reached out to me a little bit before, had a lot of stuff going on his property, from seeing lights in the sky. He wasn't able to capture pictures of it, but he sent me a picture that's similar to it. And it's funny that those lights in the sky, other people have sent me pictures of, which is pretty amazing. And then a few months after that, he hears some stuff going on in the woods out by his house. So, you guys, before we bring our guest on tonight, I just want to say thank you so much for supporting the show. I could not do any of this without you. I love doing this. I love reaching out and talking to people, hearing their stories, and letting them know, it's okay. This is a safe place for you to come, share your story, and know that, there's other people out there that have had similar experiences. For the channel, I just have to let you know that I have a giveaway. If you are already a member of the channel, then you already entered in this giveaway. If you'd like to be entered in the giveaway, all you have to do is join the channel, $2.99. And if your name is drawn, you will win this hat. Now, just like the one I got on, I know you can buy this at a big retail store, but whenever I go there, they're hard to find. And you know what? For $2.99 and a chance of winning a hat instead of going and paying full price for it, I don't think that's a bad deal. But you have to be a member, and this giveaway is going on from May 10th to June 10th. And on June 11th I will announce the winner. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on my guest tonight. Rod, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you? Hey, thanks for letting me come on and kind of debug all this stuff that's been going on. Like I said, I don't really know, what's going on, but maybe you got some ideas.
Well, I mean, we just had a little bit of chat, and I'll tell you what I think at the end of the interview.
Okay, that's good.
I'm not going to jump ahead. I'm not going to put the cart before the horse, so to speak. I'll give you what my honest opinion is, and then other people, when they watch this, they'll be able to maybe put their 2 cents in and help you out with trying to figure out what's going on.
Great.
So you had, and this all happened in 2025. So this happened.
Correct.
So pretty much around the beginning of the year. You're in Arkansas.
Right.
You have about 3 acres of land. You're surrounded by woods, which is fantastic.
Right.
And one night, we'll go from where you start with. What did you see in the sky?
Well, so I used to have 2 pit bulls, and one of them passed away, and the second one, she's my little girl Zoe, she's turned into somebody that's really needy. So usually about 3:30 in the morning, she gets up and I have to take her outside. And usually what I do is she won't just go out on her own. I got to take her out on the front porch. And it was a clear night. It was a really nice night. And so she was doing her thing. And I always look up at the sky and just look at the stars since you can see them. And, I always, we get that Pleiades cluster that comes across, right? So I was looking up, I'm like, man, that's really blurry today for some reason. And, maybe my eyes are just getting bad or whatever. But then, so there's like 3 of them, and they were in this little formation, just right up there. And as I was looking at them, then all of a sudden, they just kind of twirled and moved behind the tree. And I kind of thought to myself, well, did it just notice me, or is it hiding, or is I really didn't know what I was looking at. But like I was telling you, if they were trying to hide, they didn't do a very good job of it because you could still see them. So I ran in the house, tried to get my glasses, but when I came back out, the sky was clear. So it was bothering me a bit because I've really never seen anything quite like that. So I talked to some people at work. They said, well, you're just crazy or whatever. And so I kind of put that one in my pocket and just kind of left it sit. I told Michelle about it, and and that's about all the farther it went. Then about probably about a month later. So, Michelle was living in Illinois. I was here by myself. And I start hearing all the neighborhood dogs bark. And I'm thinking, okay, well, there must be something outside. And as it got louder and louder and louder to the point where, I was getting out of bed. And then I heard it was a loud howl. Okay. And, when I can walk outside here and kind of give you an idea of where it came from. And then, how close it would have been to the house. Now, it's getting a little dark, so you'll have to tell me if this doesn't work.
Sure.
But so out here, so the far over here in the corner, okay, so that's where the bedroom would have been.
Okay.
So it would have came from this direction and came this way.
Okay.
Now what's concerning about me is as loud as it would have had to get, it would have had to come right through here, because this is the garage and the house. So it would have had to come right through here and get over this railing, or it would have had to been on the far end of the garage or the other side of the house. Because after I got up and I walked out, I got my flashlight, I left the dog in the house. Well, I could hear footsteps walking up. So this is the backyard.
Okay.
So up through the woods there, I could hear footsteps walking up into the woods. And it wasn't like, like a deer where you would hear a couple steps and it would turn around and you could see it. It just kept walking. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go in the house, because I don't want to deal with anything that walks like that, and I just didn't want to deal with it. It started to, that's probably where I started getting, that's when I started listening to your podcast. I started looking into things a little bit more. Okay. And so that one stressed me out, mostly because you couldn't see it. You didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But you knew there was something that happened.
Right. So let me ask you this. So did this howl was coming from Oregon? This is from Daryl Adams' Owl Moon Lab property. And yes or no, if this is similar to what you had heard.
So, but it would have been shorter. But
Okay.
yeah, that's and that, whatever that was, it quieted everything down. All the neighborhood dogs, and the dogs, to bark that loud, I mean, they're 600 feet away, and I don't know what was really making all that noise, but it did sound. That's what got me out of bed, was that noise.
So you heard that noise and you're like, okay, whoa, wait a minute. And you got out of bed for that.
I got out of bed for that and went to the backyard. Yeah. And that's when I heard walking up through the woods. So, and the woods, you saw them there, because there's a fence down there. So I don't know, 100 feet away.
Now, are those the walking you heard? Obviously, it was bipedal.
Yes, I think so. Well, yes, it didn't. It wasn't a deer that goes. You can hear them where they kind of trot through the forest, or slow crunches. It sounded like if I was walking through the woods. That's what it sounded like.
And what were they? Methodic steps? Was it rushing through the woods, or was it just sound like it was taking its time?
It was just taking its time. It walked like I do. I take my time. It was just crunch, 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 crunch until I decided to have enough, and I went in the house.
And about how, so from your door to your wood line is what, 75 feet?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, and then how far into those woods do you think those steps you heard? How far inside the woods?
After I listened to it for 10 seconds, I went in the house.
Okay. I was about to
I
say
didn't
how
wait till
long.
it went away. I didn't, and you try to talk yourself out of all this stuff. You're thinking, well, maybe it was just a guy at 3:30 in the morning walking through my backyard making all the dogs howl, or the lights. You think, well, maybe it was just somebody with a flashlight, but there's nobody with a flashlight that can do that. So it's
Right.
just I still try to talk myself out of the stuff.
Well, let me ask you this: what in the direction that it was traveling? What is in that direction?
Well, so what's in that direction? So there's really, there's a trailer up that way. But over in the far corner of the yard, we got that Indian pointer tree, which is generally in that direction. So, it might be still dark. I'll walk back outside. I kind of show you inside. But
So,
so
what I'm getting at is like, is there like a game reserve over there? Is it a populated area? Is it more dense woods?
more dense woods.
More dense woods.
It's So there's it's timber, but they clear it. They clear it for paper, but then
Okay.
they let it grow back up. So I mean, we call this a subdivision, but my closest neighbor is 1,000 feet away. The closest neighbor, if you go, there's a guy with a trailer up that way. So there's like it's really it's I don't know if you could call it densely populated. There's people here,
Right.
but there's a lot of thick woods. You can, I mean, the you probably a quarter mile that way is that guy's trailer, but
Okay.
you don't even see it
Right.
because it's so thick.
What water sources are around your area?
So it's there's bayous all over here, bogs. Back in the back corner where I was showing you earlier, when it rains here, there's a pond down there. Along the backside, there's a stream that runs 75% of the time.
Okay.
That far end of the area is it's just all boggy and wet down here. We get about 50 inches of rain here.
What is the wildlife like around your area?
So supposedly, they got wild boar. Supposedly there's bear. I haven't seen either of those. But otherwise, I have seen a bobcat. But besides, you got the regular snakes, and there's probably alligator and that type of thing.
Deer?
Oh yeah, deer here, yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
All
deer,
right.
squirrels, yeah, that
Yeah.
type of stuff. Anything small. Yeah.
What
Oh,
county are you in?
Cleveland County.
Cleveland County. Okay. And what's the word I'm looking for? What frequency do you see like the native wildlife, say in or around your backyard?
Well, so I got squirrels all the time. The deer have finally started to come back, so I've started to see more deer. I've never seen a bear, never seen wild hogs because they would tear up the yard. So I've never seen any of those. Like I was telling you earlier, I had we had fox here. We had a family of foxes last year that didn't return.
Okay. I don't know if you understand how important your answer just was when you said the deer are finally coming back. So my question is, what was the population like, or what was the frequency like before that howl that you would see deer or see signs of deer?
Oh, so you would start you so it wouldn't be uncommon at times to see 10 or 15 deer within this area in a front yard, in the backyard, those types of things. What was interesting is, like I said, in the last couple weeks, I started seeing them coming back. But the weird thing about it, so the backyard's all fenced in, but I get them in the backyard, which I've never done before. They're
Yeah.
like within the fence, so they hop over the fence. It's fun, but you just kind of twist your head at that.
Okay. So the time from where you heard the howl
Yep.
to now, how long of a period is that?
So let's see the how. So probably that probably happened in March.
Oh, I mean, it's quite possibly that you had a Sasquatch or more than one in and around your area, migrating through your area.
Well, and I mean that loud barking and that howling stuff. I've heard that before, but it's not like it's all the time. And the first time, second time I heard it, I don't even know a time frame, but it's not all the time. It's only like a couple times a year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so but even the air around here has gotten easier, just because you saw the emails I was sending you.
Mm-hmm.
I was freaked out. I was worried. I didn't know what I was dealing with.
So after you had that, I'm going to call it the early morning hiker go through your backyard, through those woods that you just showed us,
Right.
what else had happened around that area after that happened?
Well, so this was probably about a month ago. So Michelle was home, and I was down by the chicken. So that's probably 400 feet from here. So there's a little open field down there. I did hear a crack, and I'm thinking it was just a branch that fell, which isn't uncommon. We had ice storms, I had branches falling all the time. So I walked over to it and I looked. I'm like, oh, there it is. No big deal. It was a heavy branch and it dug itself in the ground. So then I listened to your podcast a little bit more. I'm like, that branch is bothering me. So I walked over. This was just a week and a half ago. And I looked at that, and this bothered me too. I mean, this was because when the branch fell, I was, like I said, probably about 600 feet away. And I heard a crack and I could see exactly where it was at. And there was no wind, but that whole area was just rustling back and forth. And then it just went calm. So I'm like, all right, well, that's where that tree fell. But then as I listened to your podcast more, I thought, I'm gonna go back and check that tree out. So when I went back, I'm like, where'd this thing come from? I'm like, there's none, that tree doesn't belong to any of these trees. And then I went to pick it up, and it was pushed over. It was still in the ground. I mean, it wasn't a big tree. It was, something about so big, but it was laid over, and there's a weird little path that goes up in the woods, and it was laid over there. But then, and I sent you a picture. I don't know if you got to look at it, but there's a big scrape mark on another tree right next to it.
Yep.
So I tried to talk myself out of it. Well, maybe it was a boar, pushing over stuff, but I don't know. I guess I was looking for you to give me some, advice, answers.
I'm gonna see if I can download that that picture that you sent, because it is, when you did send that picture, I'm looking at it and I go, well, how did that big scratch mark get on there?
Yeah.
And I'm asking myself, is it a marker of some kind? Did something intentionally mark this tree to make it look like, well, this is my area? Or let's see, I'm trying to find it here. He sent me.
Well, I mean, I can get my imagination going really, really good with this stuff. But the property markers here, and this is the only guy that did it this way. They're giant. Although they're not giant. I mean, they're telephone poles, and they're plowed in. And I only had what my plan was, is I was going to make a mountain bike path outside the perimeter because nobody was using it. So I was scouting all that back there. Actually with my little UTV going around the fence line and stuff. And I was looking back there where I was going to go. And that was the day that that tree fell down and all that kind of fun stuff. So maybe I got outside my boundary.
I am, for some reason, I just kind of looked at the two. There might be a third email or something, strand that you sent me.
I sent you a few.
Yeah. So but I do distinctly remember seeing one, the pointing tree, two. Now you're saying a branch, but also a tree. Is this a tree? Because you said this branch or this tree did not come from anywhere around here because it just
Yeah,
doesn't match any of the trees. So was it a branch or was it like a
it,
smaller tree?
it was a small tree. I thought it was a branch at first, but it was pushed over and broke at the base.
Yeah. And you're
Yeah,
saying it did not belong in that area because there are
I
no
mean,
trees. See, okay,
yeah,
so I,
it's still growing. It's still alive. It's still got leaves on it. That's what freaked me out. I'm like, it's been 2 weeks, and this thing I would imagine is dead. Because I went over and I looked. I'm like, well, look at the leaves on this branch, and I couldn't find it. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. The branch should be dead. And then I tried to pick it up, and I figured, no, this is still a living tree. Just got pushed over.
let me ask you, do you think that tree was planted there? Or do
Well, I
you
mean, like I
think
said,
it's our imaginations can run wild?
well, so if you really want to get so, and it's fun to do it. I mean, as long as I don't have anything here that's going to hurt me. Um, but if you look, so if you take my address and I can show, I can. Too bad I wasn't on the computer. I could show you. But so I know where the tree's at. If you zoom out, because there's a path. So that
Right.
tree fell over this old path, and this old path leads up in the woods.
Yep.
If you look, there's an area. It's probably 2 or 3 acres. It's still really heavily wooded, and there's a big tree right in the middle. And I'm thinking, I want to take a trip up there and see what's up there.
Well, if that limb or tree is pushed across that pathway,
Don't go there.
I'm not
Okay.
telling you what to do,
Yeah, I'm
but
not going to.
I
It's
I would err on the side of caution because a lot of times people will come across these things like boom, you saw it 2 weeks ago, you saw the path, no problem, and all of a sudden you're out in the backyard with your chickens and you hear this loud crack
right.
and there it is. Now here's the thing, it could very well be a branch off of a tree that has been driven into the ground because I've also seen video of what they believe is a tree branch or a smaller tree ripped up from one area and then jammed into the ground,
Okay.
and they can't move it up because it's been jammed so deep into the ground.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
gotta understand
Maybe. I don't. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't really. After I saw that, it kind of bothered me that
was yet
that didn't belong there, but it was somehow put there.
right. And you have to understand the scope of the possibility of how big one of these things are.
Right.
Minimum you're looking at 6 feet tall, maximum 9 to 10 feet tall. The weight you're looking at a 6 foot tall one, maybe 300 plus pounds. 10 footer, you're looking at 8 to 1,000 pounds. And just think about the immense strength that these things were reported to having. Now, again, I've never witnessed their strength. I've heard firsthand accounts of them throwing massive, like 700-pound rocks or boulders,
Mm,
20, 30 feet,
right.
or 150, 200-pound boulders, you know, 65 yards into a pond or something.
Right.
It's
Right. Right.
or they're chucking fallen trees, or they're moving, or they're pushing over trees across the road or whatever. So, you know, I just say err on the side of caution. If you don't already have, I would put some type of uh security cameras facing certain areas of especially around your garage,
Yeah.
around the far
So
side of your garage. Um,
yeah. So I did that, and that seemed to calm it down. So
yeah.
I got one back here, and it's pointing into the woods. I got one in the front of the house. It's pointing towards the street, and I got one down the barn pointing towards the chickens. And I
You
don't. I
know,
guess I don't know. Can
this
they
is
see
what
that with
I
light?
would I think they can. I think they can see UV lights or things like that, or infrared. Again, it's just what I think. A lot of people tell you they can see this or they can see that. Again, I don't know. Um, do you have any bedrooms or offices that face outside towards the backyard?
Yeah, I do.
What I would try to do is set up a camera, not right up against the window, but kind of back, kind of like a sniper would do, because you never see a sniper sit right up in the window. They always sit into the room, or they're hide, so you can't see them. And that's what I would try to do one day, is just maybe set a camera up there and just let it record, and then just check it, because you never know what you're gonna see.
Right.
You
So,
know,
because so when I had them inside the house at night, that infrared light, it shines up against the window. So I'll have to
okay,
figure something else out. So I ended up having to put them outside,
okay,
but
yeah.
during the day,
Or you could do, like, I don't know. What I would do
I
is
got
I would introduce like a flower pot or something that you could put something in. Just
that-
introduce it. So then if there is something watching, they're used to that sitting out there. So they're not going to be, first you'll see it and just leave it there, don't do anything. But then when you can, put something in it so they can, you're able to record, where you can keep a camera hidden,
right.
and then they won't even think about it, because here's this thing, it's already been out there for 2 or 3 months, and then maybe check it, whatever. But in my opinion, I think you have something going on. I think the potential of it being a Sasquatch is really, really high. Um, I'm not saying dog man, um, because the howl that you said, it sounded similar, but not
Mm,
as loud. That is a Sasquatch. Um, that's been verified and checked out by a Navy linguist. So I think his name's Scott Nelson. I think that's his name.
mm.
That's what I think. It's Daryl Adams told me. A lot of his audio has been checked out and verified. Make sure that it's not a hoax or anything like that.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it hasn't shown any aggression towards you.
No, no.
You haven't had any negative interactions of any type. Has it messed with your chickens, or
Well, I mean, like I can read into it. So when we got a bunch of chickens from some friends, and over the winter they all turned out to be roosters. So I free ranged the roosters, and I left the two hens and one rooster in the pen, which is
Mhm,
a shed basically.
mhm,
So the free range roosters were doing great. I went away for a weekend because they would just perch up there wanting to get to the girls. Um, I went away for a weekend, and I came back. I had no more free range roosters. I did find a few that got taken by like a fox or something like that. But the
mhm,
rest of them just kind of just went up, and we're hoping they went to the neighbor's house. But
yeah.
I don't hear their crows. But
Well, I mean, again, you said you did see a bobcat, but
yeah,
you also need to understand that here are some other animals. I don't know if you know this: skunks,
oh yeah,
possums.
yeah. And we do have those too.
They'll go after chickens.
Yeah.
Definitely, if you have any type of weasel of any type, they'll definitely go after them.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's a possibility. They're free range. They're going to be out doing their thing, and
And
something's
they
going to
are.
happen.
Right. That's why I wasn't too shook about it. I'm like, well, we're gonna hope they found a new home somewhere. Not that they got taken away. Because I
So
couldn't.
what?
I found what? So there was 8 of them. I found three feather piles, but
Yeah,
so the rest of them, hopefully, they just hitchhiked to somebody else.
yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't really worry about anything. You haven't noticed anything weird around the perimeter of your house, like really odd smudge marks on any windows, or
No,
okay,
no, I haven't. You know, yeah, I haven't. No, I mean, I mean, the house was just, yeah, I just pressure washed the house, so there was nothing weird.
yeah,
I don't spend much time down by the barn, but we didn't have any issues down that way. It's always been up this way.
yeah,
Not that this even is an issue, but
right. Well, I mean, it's always a good idea to keep your eyes and ears open, you know, especially if you're in an area. Well, boar are notorious for just tearing everything up. You know,
right.
boar have been known to, I hate to say it, take calves and lambs and kids and use them as
Yeah,
subsistence. I've seen
yeah.
pictures
I've
of it,
heard.
and it's yeah. So, the best advice I have, sounds like you're already taken precautions about it. Document everything you possibly can. I would just keep like a little journal, the date, the time,
yeah.
what you heard, what you saw. Um, if you're sitting out, I mean, it looks like you have a nice little back deck or back porch that you can just kind of
Right.
hang out on. If you hear something, I would just take the phone out and just start recording.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and just try to get documentation of it, and then take the recordings and whatnot and put it on like a flash drive or something like that, so you
Mhm.
have it. And
Right.
again, I'm not an expert, but motion lights. If you get motion lights that are super bright, put those up. Motion lights will normally pretty much scare out some things, pretty much everything away. I mean, but again, you have those certain things that just they're not going to worry about it. I mean, if a
Right.
bear's hungry enough, a bear doesn't care about a light popping on,
Correct. Yeah.
So, but
Yep. No, I know. Well, we just keep on rolling. I figure whatever it is, as long as it stays on its side of the fence, I'll be good.
yeah. And I mean, again, I mean, I do it here, and I'm all the way up here in Minnesota, but when I'm out and about in my backyard or whatever, I always have a tool handy, if you know what I mean, just in case. So
Well,
we've had coyotes, and um few years ago we had a black bear that was literally like 2 blocks from my house, just walking
right.
around, so
Yeah.
just be careful.
For those few nights after I got woke up by the barking and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a few things right there next to me. Not like I would probably do anything anyways, but
Yeah.
at least to scare things off. But
Yeah.
I'm more, I worry more about the little dog. I don't want that to be
Yeah. Yeah.
every time I listen to your podcast, it scares me. I'm like something just killed my dog. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
But
And I hate it when pets um unfortunately get taken. That bothers me. But I've heard some really insane encounters where if it wasn't for the pet doing what the pet does, protect its owner,
right,
um
right, right,
there wouldn't be an owner to talk to,
right.
so. But hey, you know how to get a hold of me.
I do.
You
I've emailed you quite a bit.
and I'll send you my phone number, and
Okay, cool.
yeah, you can reach out. Also, I don't know if you know this, I have a Facebook group for the
Oh no, I
podcast.
didn't know that.
Yeah, join that. Get on Facebook and send me friends request. I'll friend you if we're not already. I don't think we are, but
No, I don't
uh,
think so.
we'll get you into the Facebook group. I try to post stuff in there. I encourage people to post stuff in there, but so I had to deny something today because they wanted to post something in paranormal stuff, and I just don't cover. I don't.
Right.
If it's not cryptid, I just, or UFO or alien, I don't post it. So
Yeah, because it can go way off the rails really quick with that type of stuff. So, but
I'm
yeah, it's
not
what I,
inviting anything in.
no, no, don't ask for any visitors. No,
Nope.
no.
So you got anything else?
No, not that. I just appreciate you, taking the time to, you know, talk me through it a bit. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I can't say that it's easy, but it's not hard. I mean, my encounter, I experienced it with my dad.
right,
You know, at older age. The last thing I had, I was 20 years old. It was me and my brother going camping, and we just never made it to the campsite because we got chased out of the woods, pretty much.
really, yeah.
So yeah, and
Okay.
so I don't really put myself out into that area much anymore, and so, but like I said, man, I'm not an expert, but I'll listen to what you got to say, and I'll give you my honest opinion, and I can reach out to people because now I'm in touch with a lot of people I never thought I'd be in touch with. So
Right, right.
if you need answers, man, I can ask the questions and see if I can get the answers for you.
Well, like I said, I think it's calmed down a bit. For a while there, I was, and you could see it. I was sending an email about 2 or 3 times a day.
Hmm.
That it was stressing me out. But I guess I came to it really, if there is something here, it's never been aggressive,
Yeah.
and it's probably been here longer than me.
Yep.
So it's if I suppose if I just respect whatever it's
Yeah.
it wants to do,
Yeah.
I mean, it
But I
won't
mean,
bother me either.
but that's also your home. You got to understand that too.
Right,
But you did say it. They've probably been here longer than I have.
right.
And if by everything that you're telling me, all it's doing is passing through. That's
Yeah,
all it's
true.
really doing. So who knows what it was yelling about when you first
Oh,
heard it?
it was
You
probably
know,
trying to tell the dogs to be quiet. It was just
probably.
probably just strolling down. Because if it say we were talking about the pointer tree, because when I talked to the guy that used to own the place, he said that there used to be Indian burial mounds in this subdivision,
Hmm.
and there used to be another pointer tree, off in that direction,
Hmm.
but they cut it down when they built a house.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what the pointer tree was for.
Yeah.
Because I can't see what it would be pointing to.
Right.
You know.
True.
I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
Rod, I'm gonna tell you right
No.
now, this was a cool interview in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed
Well,
you
I
kind of
appreciate it.
taking
Yeah,
us
that was fun.
outside, and I honestly I wouldn't be worried. I really would not be worried until you start finding handprints and nose prints on your windows, and
Yeah.
you know.
Then I'll be nonstop texting you.
Well, I know people in that area, so I'll let him know. I'm like, hey, I got a listener, got a buddy that has got some stuff going around his neighborhood. Maybe you should head on over there and see if you can help him out.
Oh yeah.
So
Yes, sir.
all right, my friend, hang out in the green room for a second. I'm gonna close this out. I just say thank you so much for all the support, and I'll holler at you in a couple minutes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Yep. Well, you guys, that is it. That again, it's not your typical, it's not a sighting. Rod didn't have a sighting. He definitely heard something though, and it wasn't just a holler. It was something walking literally yards from his house in the woods. And again, I love Class B encounters like this because it heightens your senses. You don't know what's inside those shadows. You don't know if it's looking the whole time as it's walking by, and it just gives it that mysterious feeling about it. But other than that, you guys, I think this is a great episode. I think Rod is a great guest. I look forward to hearing more from him as time goes on, if anything else happens. Again, if anybody out there has had an encounter you'd like to come on the show, please email me at the Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. Again, the Cryptid Podcast 72 at gmail.com. Don't forget, I have a giveaway going from May 10th to June 10th. If you become a member at $2.99, part of the Cryptid crew, your name will be entered in to win this hat. Like my buddy Josh always says, you guys stay prayed up. And as I always like to say, remember, a legend always begins with the sighting. You guys have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon.
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?